When I was a boy, I dreamed of being able to talk about comic books with friends, and instead, I was just talking to my Star Wars figures, and even they didn't want to talk to me. But now is the golden age for superheroes and supervillains. Welcome to Marvel Movie Talk. Hi, everybody. I'm Christian Bladt. So excited to be able to talk to you about Hawkeye episode this many, episode 5. Yes, with all the spoilers. And the biggest spoiler of all is the fact that Eric is going to be with us for the whole show. So usually, like the last 20 minutes of the show, it's like Playboy After Dark. You know, we undo a button or two, we get out the cocktails, but it's still going to be pretty buttoned down. But I know not of who this Eric is that I speak. Who is this strange figure in the square next to me? Oh my God! Wait a minute! It was actually him all along.
With the room sweatshirt.
With the room. Oh, hi, Eric.
Oh, hi, Blatt.
Oh, my goodness. And rounding out the hoodie crew here in Southern California, our friend Nate Miller. Nate, thank you for joining us.
It's very nice to be here.
We'll talk Christmas and Hollis. Don't worry, much as our friends did. But Michael didn't believe when I told him it was cold, and people, Kame Egan in Chicago is probably like, it's not cold, but you know what? For us here, it's very cold. Thus, we're all wearing sweatshirts. Of course, mine is festive, but of course, we're also joined by, I guess, Michael, you're sporting British Betsy Braddock hair because it was more pink and then it went purple when she was Asian. So I feel like that's what you're bringing to the table today. But please tell me if I'm wrong.
Literally no inspiration from that character today whatsoever.
I mean, I'm inspired by her every day, especially Olivia Munn's portrayal of her.
Oh wow.
I think we should all be inspired. Anyway,
the monsters.
Oh yeah, and Kame Egan's bragging. It's 65 and crazy windy today in Chicago. I would welcome that, but that's not what we got. In any case, so much to talk about. We are going to talk about Hawkeye episode 5 with all the spoilers, and then towards the back part of the show, I will talk about Spider-Man No Way Home with no spoilers, so I can talk about it for about 8 seconds. But I'll spoil this. You should go see it. That's a hot take, I know. Nobody's saying that except me. Everybody else is telling you can skip it.
Damn, Christian's not scared to say what everyone else is too afraid to say.
Look, people are afraid. Everybody else is like, just wait for it to be on Disney Plus in 2 years, or in Michael's case,
Disney Channel in 5.
Yeah, just Michael's case, just wait until you've seen Far From Home and then see No Way Home. In any case, we are going to start with Hawkeye, and we always like to go around with big picture. And there's a lot of stuff to narrow in on. But Nate, big picture, episode 5, and you can look back and kind of as the 5 episodes as a whole, if you like, sort of what we've been building to. What were your thoughts watching this 5th episode, Nate?
I thought it was good. I like the pace a lot better than last week's. Last week's is the only one that I wasn't really crazy about. But it was good. I think a really good way to bring Yelena in to the plot that's been going on, especially since they teased her at the end of the Black Widow movie. I thought the scene with Yelena and Kate was really good. That's one of my favorites. I don't know. I think it also set up the finale pretty well. I think they did a good job of teasing the stuff that people have been wanting and finally paying it off. I did kind of see the twist coming, but I still think it's a good twist. So, sure. Yeah, I liked it. I normally I get to watch them twice, and I slept in too late this morning, so I didn't get to watch it again. So I only watched it the one time, but
We've established that it's cold here. It's a hard day to get out of bed. We understand.
It was very
Yeah.
hard.
I was in the situation where I planned to watch it this morning, and then it was 11:50 last night, and I had feelings about this episode. I'm like, I can't. I'm not gonna. What am I gonna do? Lay there and try to sleep, and then know I could watch it. So I stayed up till 1 instead. Michael, you have been uncharacteristically positive throughout the Hawkeye series, and people have been commenting on our videos and on social media that they're wondering what's happened to Michael Shirley. Shirley, no pun intended, but I went with it anyway. You must have hated this one. The trend must have ended. You must have hated episode 5, right?
No, man, this was my favorite episode so far.
Oh, I'm with you.
I mean, her like Yelena talking about like how chewy reindeer is while she's like eating macaroni, the like trust a bro truck, like there was just so many funny things in this episode that
I'm just gonna pop in one of them from Ivan Soto. We don't really see brass knuckles anymore, you know, like excuse me while I put them on. Yeah, I loved that the thug banter, and it's always when we get it on the show, when we've gotten it, it's very reminiscent of Barry, the HBO show. But I love that show too, so I'm not complaining.
It just kind of was. It kind of tied everything together, but I don't really know how they're gonna wrap all this up in one episode and not have us expecting another season.
I mean, we're getting another season of Loki. I don't see why we couldn't get another. We couldn't get 6 seasons in a movie out of Hawkeye. So, Eric, overall thoughts on episode 5?
Yes. It was the hot sauce to my mac and cheese. I thought they set up a lot and tied up a lot, but then opened up a lot too. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so Valentina and Kate's mom and Kingpin are all in cahoots. So I'm pretty curious. Yeah, I agree. Like, one episode feels like it maybe could get us a quarter away through all that, but I'm excited to be there. And I thought this was great. I mean, it was a great setup for a finale. I love that they got some more out of Echo, and you could see how they're shaping. They're setting up the Echo spinoff really smartly with, saying basically like, who do you think sent me to get your dad? So, I thought this was a great episode. I laughed out loud many times. The tracksuit conversation, Christmas in Hollis, which, it was like the perfect reference because it's tracksuits and it's Die Hard. So in essence, like that scene, you're right. It's straight out of Barry. I hope this is not the last of the Tracksuit Mafia, even if they get their own little comic book spinoff. I don't care. I just want more of them.
I mean, we don't get enough webisodes anymore, but if you want to talk about characters who are perfect for it, now it's called Paramount Plus. They'll do these short treks for their Star Trek series, and I think that if we could get anything like that in the Marvel universe, little 5-minute episodes here and there, I would like to hear them talk about probably, if they want to do like It's Tricky next time, if they want to go through the Run DMC catalog. And of course It's Tricky video with both Penn and Teller. I mean, obviously I could do a show on that, but I would rather hear the tracksuit guys really go through it. Yeah, I think that it's really coming together very nicely, and I think that I had my hot take early on that I was saying how much I loved Hit Monkey, and I was more into Hit Monkey than I was to Hawkeye early on. It's at least tied now. It may have surpassed. I still urge everyone to watch Hit Monkey because Eric and I did a whole special on it. Once you watch it, you can find it right here on the YouTube page that we were surprised. So in any case, I think right out of the gate, this episode was amazing because this was a big Yelena show. This was really not a Clint episode. is a bunch of Kate, but Yelena definitely takes our focus here, which is great because when we got that end credit scene from Black Widow, I was excited at the idea that we would get more of her sooner than some movie in like 4 years. You know, that at some point soon we were going to see her. And now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. In WandaVision, when we saw Monica Rambeau blip back, we didn't see her disappear and reappear, right? We just saw her return. So I thought that this was great. This is the first time that we saw how instantaneous it was, that she, I guess for lack of a better way to describe it, she blipped away and blipped back. And just, by the way, I don't know, as a homeowner, Eric, that was not an improvement to that bathroom, right? I mean, I think in those 5 years that their friend really, I mean, that green does not suit that bathroom. I almost turned the show off after that.
Yeah, no, I think that in essence, like the 5 years was only 5 years backwards for her. Having a kid obviously ruined her sense of style and taste, as it has, by the way, for pretty much everyone who has kids.
Well, that's definitely true.
She did it as a tribute to where her friend disappeared.
Yeah, right.
So she made it ugly green, so no one would ever use the bathroom again.
I have definitely gone into the bathroom at parties, and when I come out, it's felt like I've been in there for 5 years. So I understand sort of that awkward walking out, like, oh, hi everybody,
and now the world's green.
But I thought just to see that, and I think that those are two great moments, just sort of in the MCU, you know, getting the return of Monica Rambeau in WandaVision to sort of get that perspective of, you know, somebody coming back, but watching somebody leave and come back. I don't know. I thought that was great to see. What did you think about that sequence? We'll push aside the bathroom decor for now because we've already covered that. But in terms of that sequence, Eric, what did you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I love that. And to the point where it's interesting because like they've kind of referenced it a few different times now. And I realize every time how fascinating something about the blip would be in terms of the disappearance and the coming back. How I know it's like every time I see it, I kind of want more. Like, and they found so many unique angles. The water going through her hand, that got me. And then as you're watching it, you realize like, oh my God, she's blipping, and then all of a sudden she's right back. That was genius. And by the whole teaser was great. You know, I think even
when the teaser ends and then we get the previously on Hawkeye, I'm like, I don't care about that. I don't care about any of that stuff. Can we go back to Yelena's show?
That was a little messy, in my opinion. The way they like arranged the show this week. I don't really understand what the point of that was. It took me out of it for a second.
Do you mean having the recap there? Because I mean, it wasn't necessary.
Putting the
stream this show
after that. I don't know why they didn't do the recap first. And then I felt like the title card just kind of sat awkwardly on the screen a little too long. I don't know. It took me out of it. I don't know why they mixed things up.
But in terms of getting to catch up with Yelena and getting that perspective of her blipping, Michael, what did you think about the scene itself?
I really liked the former Black Widow, like the wife's reaction. She's like, Yelena? Oh my God.
Also, like, you ruined my $20,000 carpet. Yeah, I love that.
You've been in there for 5 years. Ugh. It was just, her reaction was just kind of very like, yuck. I don't know. I like that more than anything.
She became a character out of Hee Haw.
Yeah, she got like this great personality, and I want more of her.
What I found more jarring was like her coming back, right? And Yelena's back from the snap, from this event that everyone has had where people have been gone for the last 5 years. So now that you're back, let me help you get into this contract killing thing.
By the way, that's friendship.
Great future in contract killings.
Yeah. Don't you need to like call anybody, see if anybody else came back?
No, exactly. Yeah, it's not like people had been blipping back for a while. That's the same moment that everyone came back around the world.
She's like, people blip back. There's more people to kill now. More money.
Yeah, look, it was a lean 5 years to be a
Yeah.
Black Widow assassin. I mean, I guess the competition for,
Right.
It might balance out.
it comes and goes. Yeah, it balances out. What did you think about that? And then we'll sort of move on to talking about Yelena throughout the episode. But what did you think of starting with that and kind of giving us that insight to her character, Nate?
I didn't really find it that jarring. I did, bless you. I did kind of think that like it would have been cooler to see this kind of thing outside of the show, but also kind of the unique experience that you get with these type of properties, with Marvel properties, is that you get a lot of tie-in media,
Yeah.
in your other media. So I don't know, I'm kind of 50-50 on it, but the first thing was her accent that aggressive in the movie? Because I don't remember it being that aggressive.
I had that. That was in my
Like,
mental checklist. That was actually my
we had
next
a
thing.
little bit before, but I was
I-
like, damn, we're like, this is like Russian mafia movie, like in the 90s trope over here. Like she was really laying it on.
It did seem thicker than it did in the Black Widow
I thought
movie.
it was really good.
I thought it was good. It wasn't like too hammy. It was just more than I expected.
I have
And
like Ukrainians in my family, and it was pretty spot on.
the only thing that really rubbed me the wrong way, that made me think about, was like, why didn't Black Widow have an accent at all? Like, never. Not even like she had an English accent and then she dropped it sometimes. She just like straight up Scarlett Johansson,
I mean,
vanilla.
It's the Halle
English.
Berry school of accents. It's like if you're a big enough actor.
Yes. Yes.
True.
Oh,
I do think legitimately she was older, deep undercover as an American. I mean, what is she, like 12 when the Black Widow movie starts? And
she's
then
that
it could
good,
just
though.
be for the assignments that she had. I agree with your point, by the way, that you would think that when she's, when you're not putting on a show, you slip back into it. But yeah, it must essentially be something along those lines.
It's just weird for me to like have a character that is so historically and identifiably Russian have zero Russian accent, and then now you introduce her sister, who is kind of supposed to replace her but not really, and she has the heaviest, thickest Russian. I mean, she's also a Black Widow. She's also capable of infiltrating places, and I'm sure disguising her accent. She just is choosing not to. But I thought the intro was really good. I liked how it was like playful when she was interacting with Kate, but then also kind of like sinister also. Like I like that kind of like treading the line, and Kate being like really uncomfortable. And like we've seen her kind of dipping her toes in the superhero world as she's trying to be like this junior sidekick hero. And now she's like, interacting with real bad guys, like with the fight on the rooftop, and now getting the bad guy visit where they, I'm using bad guy in loose terms, but getting the bad guy visit where they come to visit you at your home and tell you like, oh, by the way, yeah, I know where your mom is. I know about your dad that's dead, and I'm going to tease you for it. And like, she was like, it's like getting hit by a truck for the first time, luckily it's Yelena who's not really going to do anything, but I thought that was really cool. I thought that they handled her, she looks like a badass. Absolutely. With that introduction and jumping out the window backwards. Like, that was tight.
And Cami Egan makes the point that she took a cue from Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda from Age of Ultron. Just sometimes accents go away. And Ivan wants us to know that her accent was just as heavy in the Black Widow movie. It's fine. It just stands out more.
I think everybody had a Russian accent in that movie except for Natasha.
Except for Natasha.
It wasn't as jarring.
I've always thought of it as that she is just that good that she can control her voice like that.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I also don't feel like that's something that requires, when we're talking about international assassins who shoot zap bolts out of their wrists, I feel like disguising your accent is very, very, like, that's like day 3 of like Black Widow training.
It bothered me
like, because you can't, because like if all the Black Widows come from Russia, right? Like you can't be like sending your secret women assassin killers out, and as soon as they step in the room, they're like, yeah, and they're like, okay, hold on now. Say no. Yet. Okay. No. See, you got to go over there.
Yeah. Well, Ivan's talking about a scene that I want to focus more on. What Yelena did in Kate's apartment would make Natasha very disappointed. Her threatening a good person in her family even before the reveal with Eleanor. No, I think that's exactly what Natasha would do. Is you need to stay out of my way.
Right.
I'm not going to hurt these people as long as you understand that you need to go home now and stop playing superhero. But thanks for the girls' night. And I did love that comment. I loved just how much she was pushing the mac and cheese on her. Why nobody reached out to Kraft for some product placement in there? I mean, yes, we all know who makes the best mac and cheese on the planet, but it was just missing, to like have her like holding the box. Like that's what you really need. Come on, a hired assassin endorsing your product. But I thought like, yes, there is, as I believe it was Nate, you're the one who said it. There's a sinister nature to that conversation, but it is actually oddly very sweet in the way that Natasha could seem sweet. It's like, look, if you don't mess around, everything's going to be fine. Don't point one of those dumb arrows at me again, and the sort of very, very obvious point that even Kate realizes that as if I had wanted you dead, as soon as you opened the door, you would have been dead. So clearly that's not what this is about. Come sit down and have some delicious macaroni before I soil it with hot sauce. Although I know Eric would disagree. How's that vat of Tapatio that you bought at the beginning of the pandemic? You like halfway through it, or how's it going?
2 vats, and they're still very much waiting for a good home. Maybe we can do a giveaway for one of the Marvelites here. If you would like a slightly used, very large bottle of Tapatio, hashtag quarantine desperation, and it's yours.
Yeah.
Why did you pick Tapatio?
Yeah, I know, and not Cholula, right?
March of 2020 was a complicated time.
It's true. It was a different time. I don't want to harp on it, but Ivan, Natasha would absolutely threaten someone in this way. She would say,
"You're absolutely."
She's threatening her in the way of don't mess around.
Yeah, she's just saying
this is better for you to not get in my way.
Polite, like you seem like a nice kid. I'm gonna kill this dude. I don't want to kill you, so just don't be in the way, or else I will.
She's even telling her, like, look, he's really not that great a guy. Like, you're gonna, I know you don't know me, but trust me. And then, look, getting the text from her at the end, I think it just sort of supports the nature of that sit down. Is that she read up on Kate, she gets who Kate is, and she knows that she's in over her head, which I guess Eric doesn't want us to see his head. I don't know what was happening there.
I got my own.
That's the Wayne's World extreme zoom.
I have Pizza Dog here.
Pizza Dog.
Except this Pizza Dog, for some reason, chooses random hooks that he finds in the house to chew on instead of pizza. He's got issues.
What this episode did very largely is it makes me just want to see more of Yelena, because she really stole a lot of this episode. And I think we're on record, at least a majority of us, that when we talked about Black Widow when it came out, I mean, she really dominated that movie, and we're set up in a way where, just like with Echo, we're going to understand the transition to someone who is in a little bit less of a moral gray area. There's not going to be the ambiguity that you're starting to feel. Obviously, we're going to be able to follow Echo as a series. We're going to be able to understand that. I assume, yes, Yelena is an assassin for hire, but she's also trying to free other brainwashed assassins for hire. What were I know that Michael, you were, what were you going to say, Nate, before
we don't know we don't know what the process of the Black Widow freeing, like, we don't know if she completed that or like if that stopped when she got blipped, right? Like,
right.
The only context we really have is that at some point, what's her name from Veep met up with her and was like, Hawkeye killed your sister.
Yeah. We just call her Elaine. It's just easier, It's just the easiest way to do it. But Michael, I know that you were a big fan of Yelena in the Black Widow movie, and what did you think about getting to spend so much time with her in this episode?
it made me. I didn't really understand why they cast Florence Pugh as Elena initially until we saw her in action, and I just think she's so good. I will go back to like thinking about like her character in Midsummer, and it's just like it's like almost a completely different person. She's so
Is that
good.
her? I didn't even realize
Yeah.
that was her.
Yeah.
That's
Holy
her.
crap.
She
Wow.
is just really good. I get why they put her in this.
That seems kind of like a waste of talent.
I appreciated that movie. The end is really good.
No. I'm saying to have her in Marvel stuff. Like, I hope they give her like.
I mean,
she's got a great range.
Well, this is a dream role. You know, once you are a Marvel star,
I disagree. I think it's a cursed dream role. I think actors want to get the role until they get 3-4 movies deep, and then they're like, okay, I don't want to be this character for the rest of my life. And then they leave, and then they have to recast the character.
And then they're given an envelope, and they open it up. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I will.
I mean,
not everyone looks at their role like Brie Larson.
Evans, Robert Downey Jr. Like,
yeah, you're saying not Michael. You're saying not everyone's Brie Larson. Yeah,
yeah. Like, what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah.
I really like her. I was kind of like initially like, oh God, we're gonna have another Black Widow. Like, how are we really gonna stand up to what we've had before? But I think she can hold her own. I think she's basically like a less polished version of Natasha, and I think over time she's probably going to get even better than Natasha. I do like her penchant for backward swan dives. It's like she will not jump off a building face forward. Maybe it's a phobia thing. Like, she don't want to see it.
She just doesn't want to see it.
Yeah, she just do the trust fall.
And look, unlike Natasha, you can just get the vibe that Yelena would never marry, much less have a child with Colin Jost. I just feel like Yelena has better taste. And I'm ready to turn the page on the Natasha Romanoff era. This is hashtag my Black Widow now, and we should make room for her in our hearts. She's gonna need to come around. The really needing to kill Clint Barton, I don't feel great about that. So I need her to get out of there, and maybe she'll put it all together.
And it's not. I'm not sure how well it's tracking right now either. I mean, again, I'll reserve sort of criticism on it until we see it gets next week. But it's like at one point, it's a revenge thing, but then she says, "This is who hired me."
Yeah, I had that question too. Yeah, because
the line up
with the ending of Black Widow, obviously Val is letting her know about this, and so clearly it is a personal mission, but she's also been hired, which is interesting. So I feel like that's something that they're going to sort through. I just really hope that they don't keep us to 44 minutes next week. I think that they're going to need a tight 60 for that. But I thought it was really great to get to see her, because there was so much potential from the Black Widow movie. And like I said, I'm just sort of excited watching those two characters together for the moment when, new Black Widow and new Hawkeye are going to be like, hey, remember when you came to my house and threatened my family? Yeah, that was awesome. That was great. This would be like the Chris Farley show. Hey, remember being a murderer? That was awesome. So yeah, it's easy to get lost in other stuff that happened in this episode, but there was also a great scene that we did have with Clint. The action scene was fine with him and Echo, but that conversation with Laura, where it's just like, well, obviously you don't need my permission and you're not going to ask for it anyway. I have gotten so much out of the character of Laura, whose name I did not know when the series started. I was just like, oh yeah, Clint's got a wife, and it's Linda Cardellini from Mad Men and Freaks and Geeks, amongst other things. So just who? Yeah, oh yeah, right. I thought you were saying I was dead to you. I'm like, what? What did I do? But yeah, Yeah. Soon next week. So I don't know. I find that even in limited screen time, we really got some, I don't know, some great insight over the course of, it's not just this one interaction. I thought the same thing last week when she's actually helping him. But what do we think? I'll ask you first, Eric. Sort of this this clear partnership that's really the only way it could work. If it wasn't like the superhero / action hero trope of like, honey, you got to get home for Christmas. Leave all this stuff behind. Somebody else will take care of it. No offense to Holly Gennaro, but she's a lot more understanding than John McClane's wife.
Yeah, well, Holly Gennaro didn't stick around much beyond that movie. So
No.
one movie later, she's out of the picture. Yeah, I think in order to get Linda Cardellini back, in some ways, like they had to give more to this character, because I mean, at this point, you bring up you brought up Dead to Me. Like, she's an Emmy-nominated actress now, and I mean, yes, like the Marvel paycheck's a big one, but she's been steadily working over this past few years in really high-end stuff. So I think they were smart. They made the character more interesting. They made that marriage.
Did they?
You really don't think so?
God.
Like,
Here we go.
More interesting.
This is what we've been waiting for.
Found the thing that Michael didn't like. All right, let's hear it.
There it is. I want
to see her going through her drawers and pulling out like an old Mockingbird costume. Like,
okay,
just.
All right, I do want that. I absolutely want that. I'm here for that. I would love that.
But she's more interesting now than she was. I mean, like, they've at least given us hints of something about her. I mean, that she's busting out other languages. She clearly knows her way around a computer. So I think this marriage is interesting.
Like a over glorified like telephone operator.
She's Chloe from 24.
Yes,
back in the day.
She's Mary Lynn Rice Cub. Exactly, that's who she is on this.
Everyone's goal is to be her.
I think they've not given her enough.
Okay, well, we got another episode left. What do you think?
Can't she like elbow someone in the face and like point a gun?
By the way, I believe she'll have to. I expect that. I expect we're going to see just how fortified. Yeah, we're going to see how fortified that house is that they live in, and some Stark tech that's there. What do you think, Nate, in terms of Clint and Laura, their understanding that they clearly have?
Two things. One, I definitely think this is oh my god, I'm not gonna argue with this guy.
No, you just focus what's happening on the screen, not in the chat.
Okay. I completely lost my train of thought.
We're talking about Clint and Laura.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
This also when they have that conversation again, I still don't think that they're gonna kill him in this series, but this made me move like 1% closer to maybe they actually do have him die at the end, because like humanizing him more by involving his family more and his wife and stuff like is going to get that emotional reaction when you get to the end, instead of him just being this emotionless connectionless person. But I also really love Linda Cardellini, so I like seeing her more. My second thing I was going to say is that I found it kind of frustrating because I don't know, like he said he did all this thing of like this speech to Natasha, like, I'm sorry for what I'm gonna do, puts his Ronin thing on and gets his sword out and then doesn't kill anybody, just like bonks people on the head, and he's like, don't come to my family or I'm gonna kill you. Like, well, come on,
that's
dude.
actually what I was gonna ask.
This is the Ronin this is the guy that like the persona that you're trying to like make up for. Like, if you're gonna like say, forgive me for what I have to do, Natasha, and call your wife and stuff, like go kill some dudes. Like, come on.
Let me ask you first, Nate, since you brought it up. Do you think that Clint went there with the intention of killing Echo? And then he thought better of it and was like, I'm just going to threaten her. I don't think he did, but
I thought he did going into that scene. But then at the end, when he pulled the sword, and I'm like, no, obviously not. But
yeah. What do you think, Michael? I saw a very exaggerated head shake. So let me know.
I don't think it's weird that he would go back and try to convince Echo to leave him alone without killing her. I mean, he is an Avenger. Like, he went through his little... I'm really not into this whole Ronin thing at all, so I don't really want to, like, hold a candle for it. But it's like, that was a different time in his life when he thought he had, like, lost everything.
Sure.
I can understand why he wouldn't kill her. I mean, they have a little bit in common with their, you know, his loss of hearing, as he likes to say. But what I found most interesting in that scene was that she could have killed him if Kate wasn't there. And I thought that really says a lot about her and what we're going to get going forward with the Echo show.
That's a great point. What do you think, Ronan with the homies?
I don't think he intended to kill her. And who was that? Mr. Saxon had a good point. Like, if he was going to kill someone, kill that dude with the sniper rifle.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It is strange, though. You're right. Like, forgive me. It's like, yeah, that's not really Ronin level.
Yeah, forgive me. I'm going to threaten some people to not kill my family.
I'm going to give someone a mild concussion.
I don't think it's that weird that he didn't kill them. I think it's weird that he had that whole speech with Natasha and then called his wife and then went there and did the same thing that he's been doing before. That's what, and I totally understand, like, when he was talking to her about we're both weapons, people have used our angers, I thought that was really good. I thought that was really deep, and that makes a lot of sense of the connection that he would kind of share with Echo. I liked all of that stuff. I just didn't like the, like, framing it like he was going to do something, and then he just went and did what he's done every other episode, no problem. Yeah, so like that was the part that was weird for me.
Right.
I do have to say also, I found that fight scene to be incredibly disappointing. The choreography in this show has been really good. That scene for me was overly edited. There was a bunch of really cool like moves and stuff that you didn't really get to get the energy and the motion of it resolving because they would cut right before everything happened. And I hate when stuff does that.
I do feel like when Jeremy Renner's dressed as Ronin, it's very hard to believe that it's him. When he's Hawkeye, you see enough of his face. This, I'm like, all right, so just they got some guy who, you know, moves around better than fake Jason Bourne, you know. So I agree. I didn't love the sequence. It might not even be in the same way. It just didn't feel authentic. Whereas other fight sequences, including the last week, did. And I'll let Eric finish his thought before we go to the peanut gallery.
You know what I think too is Echo and then Taskmaster, they haven't yet really taken advantage of what's interesting about their powers, right? Which is reflecting whoever they're fighting. And there were a couple moments where you could see it, but I mean, I was even thinking, like, we watched Mission Impossible 4, the one where Jeremy Renner's in that. And him and Tom Cruise clearly had the exact same training. And it was this really cool little bit of choreography. Didn't go on very long, but you could see whoever their teacher was is the same dude and or lady. And so I
thank you for saying I was about to call you out for that assumption.
Yelena is the biggest ass kicker here. You know,
so no, the biggest ass kisser here is me.
Yeah, that is definitely Christian. That's how you get that's how you see Spider-Man on a Monday.
I sure did.
But basically, I think like that's the thing about Echo they haven't taken advantage of yet. A little bit in that montage with their backstory, but in that fight, you could have done such great work with just that piece. Especially if you're trying to lean into that as her powers, that she can, in essence, disarm anyone by using their own techniques.
They haven't really said anything about her having powers, though, in this series, right? Like,
she doesn't really have any.
A good fighter who's been trained really well. So, I mean, that might come later, maybe. Maybe that's why we haven't seen it, because it hasn't, like, happened yet. Maybe something will happen, and then that's what will lead into her series. Or maybe she will just be a natural fighter. And
our pal Daniel Drew seems to think that maybe they're saving a lot of that for her show. So, Michael, you seem to have a different thought process.
Though? What are we talking about saving? Like,
just explaining more about what she can do and how she does it. You know,
she doesn't really have superpowers.
Michael, you seem to have a.
I wouldn't even call it a power. Then it's a skill that they haven't really shown.
To me, it's like a Daredevil type of thing. Like all the other senses are heightened.
But Michael, you felt like the you weren't taken out of the fight sequence. You were all into okay.
It was really quick. I'll say that.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Like you could almost not even tell that she had a prosthetic leg. Everyone was moving so quickly.
Right. That's fair.
But I thought it was like that fight seemed very efficient. Like she was just trying to kill him. That's what I saw from it.
Yeah. No,
maybe it was cut in a way you guys didn't like, but it didn't take me out of anything.
Yeah. Well, I think that I think that they're really laying some interesting groundwork. Obviously, the backstory for Echo that we got a hint in, was that episode 3? Obviously, coming full center stage. I think that there's a couple of what I thought were some pretty big moments during the course of the show. And it was sort of represented by, just right there in the end titles, getting to actually, I mean, I know that we saw her name last week, but the big push, of course, is just this outline here that we got of Vincent D'Onofrio's name, even though he's just a photo on there. I mean, we heard his voice in that episode, so this didn't really come as a surprise, but it's still a great reveal. Obviously, the way that Clint is talking in the episode, the big guy, and just sort of alluding to your boss, that is, I'm glad that I didn't start the episode having it spoiled, where absolutely you will see Vincent D'Onofrio in this episode. I still liked watching it unfold, even though it was clear where it was going. It was, I thought it was a great reveal. And it, of course, that one little cell phone picture and the confirmation that it's Vincent D'Onofrio, it just sets up a whole week's worth of like really thousands of questions, like what it means for the MCU, what it means for next week, what it means for everything we've seen so far from the Netflix series. Let me ask you first, Nate. Sort of the, you alluded to it in your overall summary at the beginning. We knew this was coming, but talk about actually getting the confirmation.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of hints that the mom was behind what was going on, and that Jack was kind of like a red herring.
I mean, the Werther's original in the pocket was like, okay, so who commits murder and then takes a commemorative candy,
right? Yeah, I don't know. I think it was well done, because it was kind of something that had to be revealed, but I wasn't sure how it was going to come about. And I think especially it coming through Yelena, who, is someone that she's just starting to form a bond with, like, I think was a good like move narratively. It just makes me curious about what, like, I'm just thinking about like, what is the bigger picture now? Like, so if Fontaine got Yelena to go after Hawkeye and she was hired, did she hire Yelena, or did she direct Yelena to someone who was going to hire her? Does Fontaine work for Kingpin? And like, even bigger brain now, I'm like, so are we going to do Dark Avengers? Is it going to be Kingpin's Dark Avengers instead of Osborn's Dark Avengers? Like, I'm trying to figure out where we're going here. So I'm not even thinking about Hawkeye anymore. But implications of introducing Kingpin, as well as the groundwork we've seen Fontaine lay with Yelena, and also with what's his name, U.S. agent, right? Like, there's a lot of implications that has for the grander scheme of the Marvel universe, even on the smaller street level scale.
Yeah, and your point about, well, then who's Valentina working for or with? Is she working for Kingpin? Are they both working for the same person? I mean, that it really opens it up to a lot of that. But look, the fact that we have Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin so in the series is just it's easy to commend Kevin Feige and company for just being able to notice the obvious of if we were going to do anything with with organized crime in New York, of course we should have Wilson Fisk the Kingpin. And why would anyone else play him when he was already played perfectly?
He really did. Like, Kingpin is one of those characters, as a drawn character, is so like not human in his characteristics and the way that he embodies himself, and somehow Vincent D'Onofrio was able to embody that, not just physically but like personally, like the way he imposes himself in a room and speaks to people. Like, it just really nailed the character for me, and it is hard for me to imagine anybody else playing Kingpin in a real life adaptation at this point. Like, you have to go so far the other way to go like kind of comical and get like a really like stocky like dude to be like kind of silly.
But
like
also
Kingpin.
like I won't sit here and knock the portrayal by Michael Clark Duncan in the Ben Affleck Daredevil, but he has passed on. So
I will.
But I'm not here to speak ill of the dead. I walked the Green Mile with that man. So
come on.
What?
Green Mile does not forgive Daredevil. Okay. I literally had forgot that happened until you just said that, and now I can see it in my mind, and I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
Favreau as Foggy is legitimately great in that movie. I won't stand on too many hills for that movie, but that's one of them.
He was in a different film that was much better.
Yeah.
Was Elektra.
No. Oh, yeah. I actually have not seen the Elektra movie.
Don't watch it. Just
watch the trailer. Jon Favreau was in his own movie. That was great. You know what I mean? Like what he did in that versus everyone else.
Yeah, no, it's the example I always use. It's Harrison Ford in the Star Wars Christmas special. Everybody else is terrible, but it's like you're like, yeah, but I believe him. Like he's still Han Solo. But so Michael, let's talk Kingpin. Let's talk Wilson Fisk. So not a huge shock because we already heard him in an episode.
No.
But getting the confirmation, what goes through your head when you see that?
I think you can probably remember the second episode when they showed her. Yeah. I knew he was coming. I knew there was no way they were going to recast him. Like with all this Charlie Cox stuff that's been coming out, I don't think anything's being retconned. I think everything's going to just play in. I think we're going to hear references of Jessica Jones, Luke Cage.
Season
Danny
3
Rand.
of Iron Fist with Finn Jones as Danny Rand. Is that?
I think they'll be referenced. I feel like the Defenders will be referenced. I think that Marvel is finally kind of doing like fan service with kind of like stuff we never ever thought we could get. We're getting now, like with Spider-Man and all the things that are happening in that movie and this. I feel like they're opening up to be a little more comic book like than strict film company. Like I like this change that we're seeing. Everything's not so rigid anymore.
Yeah, look, if you think back a few years, you had the Netflix deal, you had your Spider-Man films, and that you have to go before the casting of Tom Holland. But it was all separate, and your X-Men are still separate, but at some point they'll all be in the same sandbox, some way, shape, or form. But it is getting all kind of brought in, which I think just the acknowledgement that we have Wilson Fisk and we have Vincent D'Onofrio playing him, that Kevin Feige says in an interview that when you see Matt Murdock, whenever it will be Charlie Cox, so it's just the understanding of like, if he said like, oh yeah, everybody's going to be the same except for Iron Fist, nobody's going to be like, what? How dare you? No, that's what people want to hear. And if you're, and almost it's like, if you're going to have somebody different play Jessica Jones, probably don't have her for a while then, be like, let just deal with the characters that are going to be the same. But what do you think?
They do that, but Marvel has a real problem with letting like things lie for a little bit.
I think they're getting better at it though. I think it's kind of like what you said, Christian. The sandbox analogy was perfect for like what I have been describing to my non-comic book friends about why I'm excited now more so than I ever have been for Marvel stuff, is because like, so when you have a sandbox, like first you have to build the sandbox, right, and fill it with toys and stuff, and that's what the first phases have been of getting people to understand what are comic books, who are these characters, what do they believe in, what do they want to do, right? And once you've established that sandbox, then you can start messing with it and doing the fun creative stuff, like what if this happened, now let's go cosmic, let's do time travel, let's do dimensions, right? Like that's stuff that you can't just start off the gate with. That you have to kind of like ease people into it. And now that the general public are more aware of comic book stuff and the main heroes, like we don't have to do like if they do a Daredevil movie, they don't have to do a origin story for Daredevil. They can just jump into it and start going, right? And people will be like, okay, it's Daredevil, he's blind, he fights people. Like they don't need like, oh, I don't know what's going on. So that is the exciting part that like Michael is talking about, is that we're getting to the comic booky stuff. Like that's what made WandaVision so cool. Like you couldn't have done that in the first 10 years of Marvel movies. People would have been like, what is this? But now is the perfect time for you to kind of play with those tropes and play with time and stuff, and people will really get to enjoy it as its own creative thing. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and the fact that we got our Tom Holland Spider-Man without getting our third origin story shows that they're just like, no, you get it. You know who Spider-Man is. It's fine. Eric,
I really want to see Kingpin with Tom Holland.
Yes. Absolutely. I definitely want there to be, and I think that D'Onofrio said, I don't know, last year or I don't know, at some point he said that he would love to be able to have some interaction with Spider-Man. And Eric, I wanted to ask your thoughts on the Kingpin, which I believe is what they call you around the New York Film Academy, the Kingpin.
Yeah, I'm more of a Luke Cage, actually.
Okay. Yep. Always forward. Yeah.
I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio to me as Kingpin is like, how do you not do it? So
yeah,
I think Kevin Feige is in a wonderful position right now. It's in essence, he can sort of go through the greatest hits of every other album and pull them out. So it's like, all right, I like him. What's oh gosh, I was about to call him Iron Fist, right? Iron Fist.
Yes.
Sit down. Just don't worry. Go. Bye. But he can pick.
By the way, that just to interject, because I brought it up before, the way that the second season of Iron Fist ended, Colleen Wing has the Iron Fist, and people liked her, and they liked that character. So you don't ever have to see Finn Jones again if you don't want to.
Bring her. And I think like that's the moment of Tom Holland joining the MCU is the thing that gave it legs for another decade plus, because they said, okay, well, listen, y'all know Spider-Man. You've watched the origin story twice in the past 10 years. You don't need it again. And that's how they really could approach, in essence, all these characters. Like, yeah, we know who Kingpin is. We know who Daredevil is. And so really they're in a wonderful position, and especially how they've opened it up. One thing I think is really smart is the universe has gotten both bigger and more intimate. So these TV shows are like the limited run series we all like as comic book readers. And then I haven't seen Spider-Man yet, unlike some people in our square. And
has somebody seen it?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Oh, you literally Instagram, like private message, whatever you call it, me like from the theater.
No, I was outside the theater.
Me too.
Okay.
I was outside the theater and I sent it to all of you. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna send back something mean, but I just said nice.
Yeah, come on. That's all I was doing. I was
so happy for you.
Yeah, that's so
awesome.
The
C word, but not to him.
Not that C word. No.
Yeah.
Christian.
But I think like it's with the new Spider-Man movie. I mean, they're going crazy and they go cosmic in multiple dimensions and universes. And then you have a story like Hawkeye or Echo, which feels like it could be kind of an intimate, sort of very self-contained story. So I think Kevin Feige, I mean, really, he's so sharp about how to keep this fresh. Well, it's like you go big, you go small, and every size in between. And that's really what they've pulled off. And yeah, no, I think Vincent D'Onofrio, please, yes, more.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that we have no idea about is the point that, look, Ivan's not the only one saying this. You have no idea if Wilson Fisk has
What?
been retconned.
Why?
We-
What is with all
Retconning
this?
doesn't even apply. They're separate
It-
universes.
it-
This
no,
is
no,
like
but
a
it
different
also,
book
by the
with a
way,
different author.
we don't know for sure that the Netflix shows didn't happen in the MCU.
Yeah, why is
we've
everyone saying
we've
that
seen
this is gonna
we've
be
seen this
retconned?
much of Wilson Fisk. We've seen him on a phone.
Well, we saw
We
his
don't
hand
know.
too.
What's that?
Why do you always show that same dick
Oh, we did
pic?
see
We
the
saw
hand.
his hand.
Yeah, it was a hand. So we just don't know. So
I don't know why anyone's saying this stuff.
if we get to a point that, and I know for a fact that one of the things that Ivan does not like is the moment when it became clear that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was not canon anymore. And I understand people loved that show. I loved that show. I would talk about it.
That
But
show's not
it
good.
grew off into its own thing. It went, I think it freed them to not be locked into, they never dealt with Thanos. They didn't deal with the snap at all. They just did their own thing. And just enjoy it for what it was. And you never know what could happen with any of those characters, but as far as the movies are concerned, Phil Coulson died in Avengers, so that might be one of those things that is important to Feige, but we really don't know. And that's the exciting thing about Wilson Fisk being played by Vincent D'Onofrio. We'll probably know by the end of next week's episode as to whether or not it's like, oh yeah, he is the Kingpin. He's the same actor. This is not the same history that we know. But we'll see, and that is the exciting part. Personally, very excited for episode 6 of Hawkeye, which this is the perfect time to announce that because of my holiday schedule, I'm very selfishly going to make all of our friends who can show up stay up late next Wednesday when we will be doing this show Wednesday at 1 a.m. Pacific time, 4 a.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. where somebody lives. And we'll be doing our instant reaction to it. Assuming that it's only an hour, we'll be on at 1. If it's 65 minutes, we'll be on at 1:05. Because if I don't do it that night, I won't be able to do it until well into the next week. And I feel like there's going to be a lot to talk about. So we hope everybody joins us then. Also, before that, this Friday, those of us who get a chance to see Spider-Man No Way Home, some of us for a second time, others only for the first, we'll be talking about that on Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific. And yes, I know that's midnight Eastern, but you can watch the archive version. It is a movie that I think we're going to all have a lot to say about. And I think there's a lot of excitement out there in the world. And yes, I did post about how it's great to see things when they're not spoiled, Michael.
No, I'm laughing at Eric's name. Sorry.
Eric Retconner. I do like that.
It's really putting salt in the wound.
Yeah, just a little. But that's all right. That's what we do. Come on, it's fun, And look, don't take it out on Eric. I mean, his personal life is a 2, but his professional life is a 9. So that's why he does what he does. It's just how we take it on. So yes, the very loose things to say about Spider-Man No Way Home is that it is great. It is a lot of fun. There are no shortage of emotions throughout the 2 hour and 30-minute running time. That does not feel like 2 hours and 30 minutes. They took my phone away, so I couldn't keep checking the time. So that helps. You don't get to go like, how much more there is this?
You need a big boy watch.
Did you see it in IMAX?
I did see it in IMAX.
Wait,
Should I see it in
Christian,
IMAX?
don't you have a picture from
Yes,
you at the red carpet?
I do. And I know that sometimes I do forget about it. And
He was on the red
I would
carpet.
say, but to Nate's question, seeing it in IMAX was cool. I don't know. I think that movies like sci-fi movies in space, kind of like IMAX, is a lot more necessary. I think it'll be fine to see it. I think that the sound is more important.
Okay.
But it's I don't think it has to be in
I was on the
IMAX
fence.
movie. Yeah. So, and I don't know. That's always like what, at least $5 more.
Yeah.
But
How
what?
much Rhino is in it? This has been my only concern.
So even if Rhino were in this movie for 2 hours and 29 minutes, the answer would be not enough Rhino. That
More
would be the
Rhino.
answer.
What,
Now,
Paul Giamatti?
what Michael, what Eric is alluding to is that he understands that there is a photo of me at the premiere.
Oh
I
my
wish
God.
I wish that Jeff were here, not just because I miss him having been in Canada for like a month, but if he would be so jealous that clearly I had this opportunity to get so close to whom I call
Zendaya's back.
Zendaya, but he always corrects me that it's Zendaya.
Zendaya.
Jeff is very protective
Yeah.
of MJ.
It really made your head swell.
But no, I think I've never looked better, in all honesty.
Are you wearing lifts in this picture? You look taller.
Are you wearing a girdle?
I mean, right now in the little rectangle that you see me talking in, I'm wearing a girdle. So
You got
why
your
wouldn't I be
Skims
there?
on, waist
Yeah,
trainer?
why wouldn't I be there? The awkward thing is that she and I almost wore the same thing to the premiere.
Oh.
And at the last minute, I thought that it was actually really cold that night too.
I was gonna
So,
say I've seen you wear a dress that looks very similar to that, but
yeah, but
And then you woke up in a sweat.
Here's the thing. I just realized it wasn't my night. So I didn't want to take it away because obviously if you want to ask who wore it better. But I'm excited for everybody to see the movie, except for Michael. I am excited for you to see it, but I know you won't see it for like 2 years. So for everyone who is going to
not
see
even
it,
this one. Like I dragged my feet on Far From Home. I didn't watch it till it came on Disney Plus. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Wait, Far From Home is on Disney Plus?
yeah. The previous one, the Mysterio one is on Disney Plus.
Earlier this year it came on there.
Yeah.
What?
I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. You know, in hindsight, I probably would have gone to go see it in theaters if I had known it was actually going to be that good. But I'm more excited for this new one, not even really because it's Spider-Man, and I do like Spider-Man, but again, it's like the greater implications it has on the next phase. That's really what I'm excited for. Plus, I love Doctor Strange, so
I would have
the
seen
combination
Far
is
From
pretty
Home
cool.
if I didn't known it was on.
I could have sworn I told you, but
he's gonna go watch it right now.
You should go watch it now. You know,
I might. I'll probably watch it tonight.
Yeah, and then at some point, you will then have to move on to the new one. And I am, as I said, I'm excited for people to see it. I don't really want to answer specific questions because it's very hard to answer any of them, and it's not my usual thing where I like look. If this were Morbius that I saw a week before it came out, I'd be telling you pretty much everything that happened in it. But I think it's a very special movie. There's a lot to it. Yes, it doesn't feel like 2.5 hours. And then the obvious, there's there's a mid-credit scene, and then at the very end, there's something to stick around for. You don't need me to tell you that, but yet people were leaving before either of them. So,
did Morbius come out yet?
No, it was supposed to. It'll come out in January. There's a photo of Jared Leto at the premiere with Tom Holland, and I feel like Jared Leto was gone 30 seconds after that photo was taken. You know, it was just. I don't think there's a good vibe for Morbius. I will always be optimistic for anything like that because. If you remember the trailer that we got like 2 years ago, Michael Keaton's in the trailer, so there's a lot to be excited about for what that movie means, even if the movie's not great. I just hope it's great. I hope it's good. Let's put it that way.
I just don't know who asked for a Morbius movie. That's what I don't get. Like, there's so many.
Michael
Shirley. No, he asked for Madam Web.
Oh, that would be rad.
Right? That's what I mean. There's so many cool ones.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the one you picked? Okay.
Yeah. Can we talk about getting Hobgoblin one day, please? I mean,
oh man.
I like how you thought that was gonna be Ned.
What? Hobgoblin?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a version of comic book history, Ned Leeds was Hobgoblin, but that was an editorial decision and got retconned away, as so many things do. In any case, so I'm excited for everybody to see it. I hope you're able to join us Friday at 9 Pacific. We will do another show about it next week, depending on when other people get to see it. I'll be able to talk about it a few times, and I'm excited. Let me ask you, Eric, heading into the Spider-Man movie, what are your hopes from it? And I'll ask Nate the same thing.
Well, I mean, I've been avoiding spoilers, I believe. Although you mentioning Hobgoblin got me curious because you could also be throwing us off a scent. It's possible you're playing mind games with us here. It is possible. All things are possible in the land of Christian Bladt.
Very true.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it, and I'm going Thursday night with my kids and with my buddy who I usually go to like midnight screenings with. So just the idea of
are you going at like 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock?
6:30 p.m.
6:30. That's a sweet spot. 6:30.
Yeah.
I know Nate, you're with me. That 6:30 is the perfect time for a movie.
You know, and I mean,
you go at 9:30, you're going to be out at midnight. Anyway, go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
If I go, listen, throwing a mask on kind of sucks. I've been making a point when I go to the theaters, I really don't eat.
Haven't you heard that real heroes wear masks? Maybe you haven't.
That is true.
It must be itchy for you to wear a mask.
I'm nervous with that comment now. I'm so nervous. I feel soiled. But I'm so excited.
Show us on the doll where Michael made you feel uncomfortable.
Soiled is an incredible adjective.
Start with the head and work your way down. I'm so excited for it. I mean, the reviews, I've only seen the numbers. They're amazing. And really just a chance to kind of hang out again with like Doc Ock is exciting to me. And seeing Willem Dafoe again as hopefully a slightly better version of the Green Goblin than we got in that first Spider-Man.
He was perfect. How dare you?
Oh yeah, in the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger way it was. So yeah, my expectations are high, but my hopes are high, but I also just kind of want to go in there and just be transported and for maybe a few hours not think about, I don't know, all the other shit.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, you won't be able to forget about your kids because you're making the mistake of bringing them. But
oh no,
I know this one. It was a losing battle.
Yeah, that's all right. What about you, Nate? Heading into No Way Home.
I mean, I'm similar as Eric. I on one hand, I want to go and have fun and turn my brain off, watch some cool lights and explosions and stuff, right? But I can't lie and say like I am very much a big, like, my favorite thing about Marvel has always been the big crossover events and like all the stuff that leads into these big like status quo changes, right? So for me, the fun part is figuring out like what is the next arc that we're going towards.
Right.
And so with the way that Loki has been building up stuff and the way Endgame ended and like all these little tidbits we've been getting from like, you know, the media in between, I am very excited to see how this multiversal thing happens and like obviously all the rumors of the other Spider-Mans coming back. Like the idea of them blending universes like that is very interesting for the possibilities of the future. And like, is this how they're going to fold X-Men in, like stuff like that? So I'm trying to, on one hand, just go and have fun, enjoy the movie, but also on the other hand, I'm like big brain Marvel nerd, like trying to figure out like what is Kevin Feige planning for the next 8 years. Like, so that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, which Feige's probably got the next 20 years planned. But I definitely agree. And before, just in the ramp up to seeing it, there is just sort of this excitement about, yes, the movie itself, but then, what's next? We know what's next on the release calendar. We'll get Doctor Strange a little later than we were supposed to, but that's essentially the next thing. And Michael, what will it take for you to see this movie? Just for it to not be in theaters anymore and then be able to watch it in your home? I can't believe you went to see New Mutants, but you won't go see this.
Man, that wasn't
drive-in.
We had been talking about that for like 10 years. So
yeah,
true.
I know.
I had to go see it.
Yeah, and you saw it at the drive-in, and that's a different experience entirely.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was a horrible experience.
But it still was.
We could only see like half the movie.
Well, the good half. Better. Yeah.
What half?
The bottom half. Your favorite.
Half truth.
Oh, that seems like a perfect time to bring this back. In any case, Michael, we look forward to having you join us for the Hawkeye finale. And when you're ready to talk to us about Spider-Man, even if it's No Way Home,
Okay.
Far From Home.
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah,
instead.
you talk about that one.
Yeah.
You know, and that'll be great. Well, thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat. I know we went a little long this week. There's a lot of excitement going on. This is a great week to be a Marvel fan, but honestly, it's a great century to be a Marvel fan. It's gone reasonably better. It's gone a lot better than the film versions and the television versions of the 20th century. The Generation X pilot notwithstanding, Michael, please, much respect. But some of us will see you on Friday to talk Spider-Man, and we'll also see you late Tuesday night / Wednesday morning to talk about Hawkeye. But in the meantime, where can everyone be found? Nate, where can people find you?
I can be found on the places where people find people at Dog Like Nate with 2
Yes.
G's.
The places where they want to be found. Dog Like Nate with 2 G's. And Michael, where can you be found?
You guys can find me on Instagram at I Hate Michael Shirley and on Twitter at Michael X Shirley.
And Eric Connor, where can people find you?
Well, me and my Hugo Drax being can be found over on Twitter and Instagram over at Eric Connor. And I will, if you're in Burbank, 6:30 p.m. AMC Burbank 16, stay away from me.
Or if you're at the AMC 16 Burbank at 11 a.m. on Friday, don't look for me, but I'll be there as well. And then 11 a.m. is that tough time to figure out, like, do I get popcorn? And the answer is always yes. In any case, thank you to everyone on the show, in the chat. We will see you next time. And as the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!